Hotep Senuhena Senut Tiren Ishakandugu Kemet. I hope you're doing well. The title of this video, which will be short, is I Know Him Talking Points. I will first play an excerpt, and I'm sharing the link to the video in the chat. You have it there. That video was uploaded yesterday. And here it is. Let's listen up. I'm going to mute my mic.
If you had read these texts, Reggie, you would know. But you've gotten so arrogant that you're questioning your elders. You're questioning your ancestors. You said you want to see their sources. Well, I'm showing you their sources today. Sit down, son. Sit down. How dare you speak ill of Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and Asa Hilliard, who you say were teachers? How dare you? How far have you come from what you learned? That's what we're doing here. We're reclaiming their legacy because they weren't confused. They didn't make mistakes about this. They were reading the sources like you should have read the sources. And you know, the funny thing is, you read the Medu Neter definitely better than Dr. Ben did, but you still didn't read the book. It don't matter if you can read the language if you didn't read the book. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And now here's Reggie again. I never see you with the elders. Yeah, brother, let's not do this. Let's not do this because it's actually not true. Because Reggie will tell you that one of the last trips that Dr. Ben took was to the ASCAC conference in Washington, D.C. And Reggie, to his credit, I'm going to give him credit for this. He actually took Dr. Ben out of the nursing home and brought him to the conference. And when he was rolling him in, who was actually coming in? Jabari Osaze. Dr. Ben greeted me and I greeted him and I spoke to Reggie. Dr. Ben didn't say, who's this, Reggie? Dr. said, oh, brother, I haven't seen you in a while. That's what he said. You know very well that that's how this works. You know that Dr. Ben taught at Cornell. You know Dr. Jabari went to Cornell. You know Dr. Clark taught at Cornell. You know Jabari went to Cornell. What are you confused about? You know, the sad thing is, what if you actually had spent more time with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark? The sad thing is, you didn't retain nothing. That's the sad thing. What were you doing when you were sitting next to them? Because all you're doing now is questioning them.
Damn.
All right, you heard it. We have Pan-African James in the place to be. What up, brother? Hope you're doing well. I heard you on the pseudo killers talking with Ngozi, and you pulled up your DNA result. I didn't hear the whole conversation, however, you know. And so yes, back to the topic. This video will be brief, like I was saying. I want to address this I know him talking point. Now, Jabari was addressing a butler that was in the chat during the live stream. And that butler is known for claiming to have done the work, or as he said, I've been doing this for 30 years. Well, really, he's been a butler for 30 years. He's not in charge of any organization whatsoever, any blog, any website, any journal. He has not published any single book. He doesn't even own a YouTube channel. He has to be going on different channels and fence ride like it has barely been done in the history of humanity. And for example, that butler was called a bitch by Sanetta. He did not take offense at that. You know, it shows you his character. But when people would say way less, he's gonna go on an outburst like it's the end of the world. He doesn't even respect himself, and he expects people to respect him. And he doesn't even respect his elders either. We have Kwame Mentuhotep in the place to be, because like I have shown, we have Dr. Wesley Muhammad who was sneak dissing Dr. Ben, talking about the N-word division, and we haven't heard that Butler saying a word. So one time I brought up the fact that Dr. Rikeri Amen is a priestess or a Hemet Necher. But the first time when I bought it, I wasn't sure. So I told him, but isn't she, hasn't she stated that she's, and him being the fence rider that he is, and disingenuous dude that he is, he was like, oh, I don't know, but he knows her well because he's very acquainted with her. And he holds her to high regards. I've never heard him speaking ill of Dr. Rikeri Amen, even though she's a Kemetic priestess. Now, when it comes to Jabari being a Kemetic priest, now all of a sudden it's all wrong, allegedly because Jabari doesn't speak the Medu Neter enough, which is really a bad reasoning. But after I checked, I brought it up again to the Butler when he came on my platform, because back then he was not saying that I'm irrelevant. He came on my platform several times, and I did not ask him to come. He came on his own will, and he even asked me once to present on my platform. So, then I wasn't irrelevant. So in one of those conversations, I brought it up again, but she's a Kemetic priestess, isn't she? And then he was like, oh yeah, but she's not. And at one point he was like, oh, do you know her? I think he might even have asked me, have you ever spoken to her? So I just told him, look, I have conversations with her through email. But this question in itself is just an escape route. It's part of the I know him or I know her talking point. And the Butler, he loves to talk about all the scholars that he used to be close to. Now, if somebody, let's say, is the babysitter for one of the PhDs, whether it be, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, whether it be Dr. Theophilo Benga, Dr. Shekanta Diop, or any others, Dr. Mario Beatty. Let's say somebody is a babysitter. Would that person be justified and say, oh, I know him. Do you know him? I used to babysit for him. It doesn't make any sense, does it? What if somebody is a maid going to the home of those scholars and, doing the cleaning up, the washing up, doing the cleaning, doing the washing up, using the broom, sweeping the floor? Would that person be justified in a conversation about what we're dealing with, about ancient history or current matters? Would anybody be justified and say, oh, well, do you know him? Well, I know him. So this talking point must be eliminated. If anybody would try to bring it to you, let them know this is a weak talking point. Now we have a known plagiarizer, hemo fake, wannabe linguist, who claimed to be a historian as well. And he talked about he has some sort of relationship with the people from the TLA. That's just the same kind of I know him / I know her talking point. It doesn't matter at all who so-and-so is in communication with. What matters the most is the information presented. If people really want to go there, then they should tell us what the credentials are. Because when they say, I know him, I know her, they're trying to give themselves some legitimacy because they are acquainted with some known, recognized scholars. But those scholars are not the one making the claims. Now, if they quote those scholars, that's different. But many times with the I know him / I know her talking point, they will not even quote scholars. They will claim that they know those scholars. Like some other riparianites would tell you that they have scholars on their side and those scholars are invisible and don't have any names. Except one that, I never heard of anyway. But, I'm not in a position to say that I know all the scholars, and because I don't know a scholar, it means that the scholar doesn't have any credential or is not legitimate. That's not what I'm trying to say. So, rather than, using the names of scholars to give themselves some legitimacy. If they are not quoting the scholars, then they might as well tell us what their credentials are. The Butler doesn't have any credential, to my knowledge, when it comes to Black history. The fake linguist who was labeled courageous by the Butler. So now when you plagiarizing in this mess of fence riders, some people will have the nerve to label that person courageous, stealing people's worth, stealing people's work, doing one of the worst thing, if not the worst thing in academia, which is plagiarizing. You will still be labeled courageous. It's to tell you the mess, it's to tell you the madness of the so-called conscious community. You understand what I'm saying? So, besides the credential, once again, what matters the most is the information presented, the sources or references used. That's what matters the most. And I want you to get that. I want it to be clear to you, brothers and sisters. It is extremely important that these weak talking points, get thrown out of the window. Then you have some other people who claim to have credentials, like Batty Garfield, who was also called a bitch by Sanetta and did not take offense at that. But yet, you're going to use a nickname, it's going to kick you out, to show you how B made to do this. You have that dude as well who claimed to have a bachelor's degree in history. He has yet to show it, which indicates that most likely he doesn't, and he lied publicly, live on air on Dougie Diamond's YouTube channel. And who does he get the support of? The Butler, the 30-year-old Butler. So young brothers and sisters who are new in this conscious community, who are new to the knowledge of African history or Black history or history period, do not be intimidated by these old fools who play the I know him / I know her game. It's a whack and weak talking point. It does not hold any weight. They're trying to intimidate. They're trying to intimidate you into being quiet when you face them, as if it's a point, as if it's a positive, because they know so and so. It does not hold any weight at all. Do not be intimidated by this weak tactic. All right? So that's all I wanted to say in a nutshell. I covered most of what I wanted to say. I didn't make any notes anyway. I came across that and I was like, man, this guy is still trying to pull this kind of tricks for real. I mean, dang. People can be lame, but you don't have to be that lame. But anyway, to each his own. So stay safe, stay healthy. And if I'm allowed to by the Necheru, I will definitely holler back at you. If you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Do I to do an Necheru Hotel? Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving Middle Nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at, Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody is interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Neture classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in-depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class. And all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Neture class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/Ma'at Forever.